Image of the Local Connections logo with Sea Witch, followed by a map of Eastern Russia.
Welcome to St. Petersburg, truly one of the world's most beautiful cities. A perfect port to take in incredible Russian cuisine.
A plate of caviar on blini is shown, followed by images of a Russian ballet, palace, and fine art.
World-famous ballet, lavish architecture, extraordinary history, and rich cultural traditions.
Russia, to my mind, is the soul of the world.
On-screen text, Helen Malchenok, St. Petersburg local expert. 2 women seated being interviewed, followed by artists painting and 2 small children playing in fall leaves in a park.
I was grown up in St. Petersburg. It is definitely a cultural capital of the country. Since my very young days, I love showing my beautiful city to the foreign guests.
On-screen text, top 10 local attractions. Close-up of gold church dome over the city skyline and statues in a park.
Of course, the number one attraction is the Peter and Paul Cathedral.
On-screen text, 1. Peter and Paul Cathedral. A grand, elaborate ceiling and chandelier from the Peter and Paul Cathedral, followed by views of the cathedral from different points in the city.
You can see the golden spire from so many places in St. Petersburg. The architectural beauty.
On-screen text, 2. Architectural beauty. Additional view of the ceiling and interior architecture, followed by city views from the river.
And the atmosphere in the city, this is what we really love.
On-screen text, 3. Peterhof Grand Palace. Various exterior and fountain views of the Peterhof Palace.
Peterhof is a favorite place of Peter the Great.
On-screen text, Olesya Sergienko, St. Petersburg local expert.
He wanted it to rival all the European royal residences that he saw when he visited Europe, like Versailles.
On-screen text, 4. The Catherine Palace. Various views of the facade and gardens of Catherine Palace, followed by images of the interior spaces and grand ballroom.
The Catherine Palace is one of many countryside palaces of the Russian imperial family. It was the favorite country residence of Catherine the Great. It is just breathtaking. The Peter and Paul Fortress is where the city started.
Time-lapse image of tourists and the Peter and Paul Fortress, followed by an image of the gold spires. On-screen text, 5. Peter and Paul Fortress.
That was 1703. If we had just one museum, the Hermitage, it would have been a lot.
On-screen text, 6. The Hermitage Museum. Exterior of the State Hermitage Museum, followed by elaborately decorated interiors, stairways, and large galleries with paintings and sculptures.
It has a tremendous collection of masterpieces, paintings and sculptures, the busiest museum of the world.
On-screen text, 7. Russian Ballet. Scenes from Russian ballets are shown.
Another great evening experience is the Russian ballet.
On-screen text, Olga Vasilkova, St. Petersburg local expert.
St. Petersburg is the center of theatrical life.
When you come to visit Russia, you will see plenty of souvenirs.
On-screen text, 8. Nesting dolls and lacquer boxes. Local streets and vendors featuring Matryoshka nesting dolls, followed by fine examples of Russian lacquer boxes.
Matryoshka dolls, nesting dolls, very typical image of Russia. A Russian lady, they're very popular. A very special thing is to buy a good sample of a Russian lacquer box. It's a unique technique, and they are true pieces of Russian art.
On-screen text, 9. Russian borscht. Images of colorful Russian food featuring breads, teas, and borscht.
There's a lot of typical Russian food that we enjoy cooking at home. For instance, every Russian family has its own recipe for borscht. This is a traditional Russian soup.
We offer it to
our cruise passengers at lunch. Not all of them like it, but this is something different. This is a taste of Russia.
A boat emerges from a low bridge on the canal, followed by various views of the buildings, towers, and parks from the boat.
For your Princess Shore excursion, Helen says there's only one way to capture the very heart of St. Petersburg.
The canals of St. Petersburg.
On-screen text, 10. Canals of St. Petersburg.
This is a really inspiring part of the whole city. You feel the water, you feel that very specific humidity of the city, which is probably one of the things that creates this special atmosphere. There is definitely something in the air of St. Petersburg.
Sea Witch wipes across the screen, revealing the Princess Cruises logo. Come back new.